So I'm going to use the same graph to graph both functions. So it kind of might, at the end, might look a little weird, but I'm going to do different colors so you understand. So first things first, we're going to find our amplitude. And we know that our amplitude is the absolute value of 5. So absolute value of 5 is just 5. So that means that the amplitude for both of these functions, because both of them are going to be 5, are going to be from here to here. That means our sine functions are going to be in between these. I should probably use a smaller number that was fitting my graph, but I didn't. The next thing you're going to do is figure out direction. So now that I know that my amplitude is a positive, that means that my A is going to be greater than 0. So that means, and I know that for sines, it starts at an intercept, goes to a max, intercept, goes to a min, and then intercept. This specifically is the origin. That's where the parent function starts at. So I'm going to have it start here, and it goes all the way to my intercept. It goes to my, not my intercept, it goes to my max, then another intercept, then a min, then an intercept. This right here is one cycle at 2 pi. Because I'm asking you for 2 full periods or 2 full cycles, and in this, that means you're going to do it again, and that would be, that would be here. And then at this point, that's 4 pi. Okay, so that right there would be 2 full periods graphed. Again, you can extend it going more this way, but that would have a total of 4 periods in the graph. Now for the blue one, again, our amplitude is absolute value of -5, which is just 5. And since we have a negative right here, we know that our A is going to be less than 0. So that means we're going to have intercept, minimum, intercept, max, intercept. And this first intercept, because it's the parent function, is going to start at the origin. Okay, so again, we start here, and then we're going to go there and intercept, minimum, intercept, maximum, intercept, and this would be one function. And apparently I didn't make it the other one long enough. I should have been longer. Sorry, should have been over here. And then if you want more, you would have to keep going. And that would be my second cycle. So all this does right here, the 5, and the 5s is stretches it up higher or longer, the length from your midline to your max and from your midline to your min. It basically tells you how far away you are from this point to that and from this point to your min. It should be the same. What the positive or negative does is tells you after you have your starting point, if you go your direction, do you go up for a positive greater or you go down for a negative? So that's what it tells you to do. So for the cosine function, you guys did this one. And what we are going to, well, I'm going to graph it very quickly. Okay, I know that my amplitude for both of these functions is going to be the same. So it's going to be positive 2. So this is 2. This is -2. So that means my amplitude, my function is going to be between that max and that min. And since my A was greater, that means it was positive than 0, I'm going to start at a max, intercept min, intercept max. So that means I'm going to start here. Cosine started at a max or a min point, and then intercept, minimum, intercept, maximum. So this right here is one cycle, and it ends at 2 pi. But I want 2 full periods of it, so that means I would graph another one like that. And that would be 2 full periods, and this other period ends at, I don't know why I keep writing 2. It ends at 4 pi. So that's for 2 cosine of theta. For y equals negative 2 cosine of theta, same thing. Your amplitude, you're going to take the absolute value of it, and that's going to be positive 2. Since this time your a is less than 0, you're going to go you're going to start at a minimum, intercept, maximum, intercept, minimum. So now you're going to start down here and go the opposite direction. And this right here is 1 full cycle completed in 2 pi, but I want 2 full cycles. So that's my second full cycle in 4 pi. For this problem, they're asking you to determine or write an equation of the function from the graph. There are a couple things you need to figure out. You need to figure out if your function is positive, what the amplitude is, and what kind of function it is. Is it sine or is it cosine? To figure out if it's a sine or cosine, look at where it starts. Does it start at a max or start at a min? And you always look at where it starts on the y-axis. So right here, it started at the origin. So automatically, that is a sine function of x. Okay. Then what you're going to do next is, did it go from intercept to a max or intercept to a minimum? If it goes for intercept to a minimum, now you know it's going to be a negative sign. And the easiest part to figure out is the amplitude. So you know that this is my amplitude between, this is my max and my min, and your amplitude is the distance between these points. So that is a 3. Oops, so that should be a 3. So your equation should have been y is equal to negative 3 sine of x, because this right here, this amplitude is 3, this amplitude is 3. So it is the distance between your midline to your max and your midline to your min. So for this equation, you're going to have to, same thing, identify what kind of function it is. And you have to figure out if it's cosine or sine, if it's positive or negative, and what the amplitude is. So again, since it starts at a max, then you know it's going to be a cosine of x. And since you know that this is my amplitude, let me get my highlighter. The amplitude is here and here. And the x-axis for this equation is your amplitude. So that means the distance between your midline and your max is 4. And your midline and your min is also 4. So that means that your amplitude is 4. Since it goes from max to intercept, it's going to be positive. So that's basically a positive 4. You don't need to put the positive sign, but just know that it's a positive 4. And that's it. So for this equation, what we're going to be doing is, if you notice, the sine function is the same. The only difference is that 5. That 5 is basically a vertical shift. And what happens is that it literally shifts your midline. So your midline will no longer be the x-axis anymore. Your midline will be at 5. So now I have a midline at 5. This is my midline, which is my d is equal to 5. Or some people like to use k, depends on who the teacher is. The reason I'm using d is because we're going by this equation. A is cosine of b of, cosine of b of, I wrote it wrong. Cosine of b, x plus c plus d. and the D is your vertical shift. Okay, so that means that if your amplitude is 1, that you're going to have this right here is going to be your max. This is going to be your min. So now your max is going to be 6 and your min is going to be 4. So you're going to be going up and down from those points. So we're going to figure out, we have an amplitude of 1, so that's where I have my 6 and my 4 because it's the distance between my midline and my max and my midline and my min. I know that A was greater than 0, so that means it's going to be intercept max, intercept min, intercept. So that means I'm going to start at my midline, which is right here. I'm going to go up, intercept, min, intercept. And this right here will be my first graph, and this is on 2 pi. That means this is 4 pi. And then I keep doing that, and I'm going to have intercept max, intercept min, intercept. So something that looks like that. And I could carry on the graph to the other side if I wanted to. For the sign of -5, that one means that my midline now is this one right here. This is my midline, which means that now this is my max and this is my min. So now for the second equation, that means we have a max of -4 and a min of -6. Because my midline now is -5 and it's going up and down. It's going up and down inside of these max and min's values or points or whatever you want to call it. So they're both sine function. They're going to start again the same place. It's going to be here, here, here. It's my pattern. So I'm going to have something that looks like this for one complete cycle. And that's an awful graph. So like this, and then the next one would be, I believe, something like that. For cosine, it's basically the same thing, but now they're saying that your midline is +3, so your midline is here for both of these functions. And if you notice, the only difference from these functions is one is positive and the other one right here is negative. So they're just going to have a different starting point, but they have the same midline, which is 3. But now that means that my max is going to be this one right here, which is going to be 4, and my min is going to be 2 for this equation. And that means my cosine function will be oscillating or going up and down between those two max and min's points. So the first thing that we're going to do is this one right here. And since it's a positive, I know it starts at my max point, intercept, minimum, intercept, max. And that means I'm going to have a function that kind of looks like this. And if I keep going, that would be my y is equal to cosine theta plus 3. If I do the next one, it is negative. So that means it starts at a minimum and then goes intercept max, intercept min, and then this function will be going this way. So this function right here would be y is equal to negative cosine of theta plus 3.